Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Midshipman Fraser Baird. Today we commemorate the 104th anniversary of the Second Battle of Villers-Bretonneux, which was fought on the 24th and 25th of April 1918 in northern France. The battle was the first to involve tank-against-tank fighting, with German tanks engaging British tanks. A gap was opened in the British lines, and with the fall of Villers-Bretonneux, it was feared that the Germans would break through to Amiens. The immediate recapture of Villers-Bretonneux was ordered, and that night, the 13th and 15th Australian Brigades went into action. One brigade approached from the north, one from the south, meeting at the eastern edge of Villers-Bretonneux, surrounding the enemy force and driving them from the village and adjacent woods. By the end of the following day, Villers-Bretonneux was again in Allied hands, but the cost of victory was high. While British troops had borne the brunt of the German offensive attack and exhausted the German troops, the Australians suffered almost 1,500 casualties in taking back Villers-Bretonneux. After the war, the location of the battle was chosen as a site for the main memorial to Australians killed on the Western Front, the Australian National Memorial, which lists the names of over 10,000 Australian soldiers with no known grave who were killed on the Western Front. Today, we remember the Second Battle of Villers-Bretonneux. We pay our respects to the men and women commemorated here on the Roll of Honour and to the survivors who returned home. This evening, we are honoured to welcome Ms. Emma Davidson, Minister for Seniors, Veterans and Community Services, Australian Capital Territory Legislative Assembly, and members of the Ministerial Advisory Council for Veterans and their families. We also warmly welcome representatives from the Defence LGBTI Information Service, who will today lay a wreath to pay respect and remember the service and sacrifice of those who have fought in wars, modern wars and those from the distant past, and to honour with pride the LGBTI service personnel among them. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends, could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the memorials galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Malcolm Thomas McGregor. Malcolm McGregor was born in about 1883, the third son of Mary and Arthur McGregor. After his schooling, McGregor was an apprentice for 4.5 years in Newtown, going to work as a baker. Around 1907, McGregor moved to Queensland. It is at about this time that he appears to have changed his name, now being known as Colin George McMaster. When Hannah Ellis married McGregor in 1914, she knew her husband as Colin McMaster. She took on the surname of McMaster, and the following year a son, Colin Arthur George McMaster, was born to the couple. Sadly, the child died in January 1916. In July that year, Colin George McMaster enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Cloncurry, giving his age as 31 years and claiming to have been born in Vancouver, Canada. He was allotted to the reinforcements to the 52nd Battalion, and on the 22nd of December left Sydney on board troop ship Demosthenes, bound for overseas service. Arriving in England in early March 1917, McGregor's unit undertook training on the Salisbury Plain in preparation for the fighting on the Western Front. The change in conditions, however, affected him strongly. He reported sick to hospital soon after arriving in England, and after recovering from influenza, suffered from a bout of the mumps. While recovering and preparing for active service, he was found absent without leave in May and then again in June. On the second occasion, he was also found guilty of insubordinate language to military police when it was revealed that he had been trying to use an expired leave pass. The following month, Private McMaster joined his unit at Ypres salient in Belgium. Here the battalion was involved in the Battle of Polygon Wood in late September, before enduring another European winter, rotating in and out of the front line. In early 1918, the Germans launched their spring offensive, and the 52nd Battalion was rushed south to hastily defend the line near Anchor on Anchor River, helping to stem the tide during a defensive battle at Dernicourt on the 5th of April. On the 24th of April, the battalion was involved in attempting to repel the German attack at Villers-Bretonneux before taking part in the counter-attack that reclaimed control of the area. Private McMaster was killed in action on the first day of fighting and was buried near where he fell. Confusing information about his name and details began to emerge in August 1918 as authorities attempted to rehome the belongings and find the next of kin of Private Colin McMaster. His mother, Mary, had apparently been out of touch with her son for some time and claimed not to know that he had married or enlisted under a false name. She also stated that her son, Malcolm McGregor, had been born at Mount Hope in New South Wales, not in Vancouver, Canada, as he had claimed. His gravesite could not be located after the fighting, and today his name enlisted as Malcolm McGregor on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux. It is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his name is listed on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Malcolm Thomas McGregor, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrubber Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.